Okay, so response video to some comments in one of mine. A little loud in the background. Hopefully you're going to hear me. There's a guy had posted a bunch of critical comments, not about my video, and I know my stuff, I'm keeping it real, okay? All these things, I buy them and I use them, and I'm going to give my honest opinion about not just the tool, but the whole situation, whether or not we got good warranty service, whether or not we can get parts for it, whether or not it's really going to bring as much money in. On tools, you don't buy this thing to own a thing. You buy it because it's supposed to make you money one way or another, and it's an investment. Okay, it's a blue collar investment. So it was a guy that had a DCN 692. It's a Dewalt Cordless framing nailer, and he was all mad that it wore out in 2 years. The cordless, especially the nail guns, and I've got, I don't know, like 5 or 6 cordless nail guns. I got two, 3 Ryobis, and I've got like at least 3 Dewalts, and maybe 4. I gotta check my 18-volt ones too. Now, on the framing nailer, I only have 1, and I don't use it every week. I don't use that as often. Okay. But what it allowed me to do was not have to carry an air compressor around. It was the last tool I had, except for a roofing nailer, that I would ever need an air compressor for. And I generally almost never do roofing. I don't, at 300 pounds, I don't really do ladders. Okay, I'm going to be straight up about that. I'm mobile, but if the job description says you're up and down a ladder a lot, I'm like, find another guy. I'm going to need helpers who do that. The situation, the nail guns, if it's not the pneumatic, okay, and factories, a lot of times they like pneumatic tools because they last forever, okay. The electrics and the cordless have the shortest tool life of everything out there. That's one of the reasons it was such a groundbreaking thing that Dewalt recently came out with that portable power station, because it means that you may use and replace batteries in a power station, but you're otherwise using corded tools. That's a game changer in a lot of stuff. It doesn't change the game on air compressor, right? Nobody has a cordless air compressor yet. I don't expect it to come out anytime soon. And if you plug an air compressor into an inverter, it's so-so. They work, but it's not wonderful. Same thing with refrigerators. Refrigerators and inverters don't like each other. So when we're looking at tool wear out issues, and somebody's really mad, he spent $400 on this tool, it probably, you take it to the DeWalt warranty station, they want $250 to fix that thing. I was at a DeWalt warranty station not that long ago, and they have a business in fixing the tools. That's what they do. Okay, you can bullshit Home Depot a little bit on these, but if you go back to the service counter, you got something that's all beat up, worn out, been on job sites, on and off for a couple of years, they're going to know it. They're going to say, listen, man, we're going to take it to the service station, but you're going to get a bill for this thing. And that's going to be normal. That's also why those things end up in pawn shops, and when you're haggling the price to pawn shops, say, listen, this thing's at 20% life right now, and you're at 50% price. Okay, we gotta work with this, or you're going to own it. Pawn shop owner's going to have himself a big tool collection, whatever, pal. You have to factor 2 things when you bought these fancy tools for a job. One, is it making you worth more money to the client? Okay, can you justify that? Now, some of these clients are going to be stubborn. Okay, they don't care if you showed up with a hammer, a $12 hammer, or a $400 nail gun. Some of them are going to be stubborn. Okay, I don't like arguing with stubborn. I don't have to argue with stubborn. I'll deal with another guy. On the other hand, sometimes you got a boss, you got somebody else, and they say, well, it's okay to use the air compressor and the pneumatic and all that kind of stuff. the issue on the handyman type stuff is that those are louder, they make a mess, and they make a lot of noise. So if you're in a neighborhood where they value their standard of living and you've got a bunch of noisy equipment, that diminishes their lifestyle. They don't want to hear that crap, okay? And their bottom line is they got to be willing to pay a little more for the guy who shows up with all the cordless tools. That's what it is. And sometimes you lose not to logic, but to the fact that somebody's being real stubborn, okay? And I know it because I've lost to this, okay? I've lost these negotiations with people. They're really stubborn. I can't get anywhere with them, and that's what it is. And they're very sure of themselves, and logic isn't going to work with those guys. When you're stuck with a bill for replacing or repairing high-end equipment, well, then, you know, his stubbornness it's not that his stubbornness was right, it's his stubbornness beat you. That's all it was, okay? So when you have this equipment, if you actually wore one of those things out, the way it's supposed to work is you made enough money to service or replace it. The same thing with certain complex modern trucks or equipment. They're going to have a higher maintenance cost than some of the older stuff. Not always, but there's a curve to all this stuff. And somebody else made a remark in one of my comment videos, you know, you're an early adopter. Yeah, I'm going to buy some things before all the bugs are worked out of them, but I'm also bringing something to the table. That's a big point with people I work for, especially if I let them use my tools. You know, I have the newest and best. We're not going in with dilapidated tools. And one of the things that experienced construction guys, they all know somebody who got hurt from using dilapidated equipment. Okay, everybody knows somebody who got hurt from using dilapidated equipment. That's my peeve, is that when I go in and I see a bunch of really beat up stuff and some jerk off who's growling at people to, you know, get her done, and next thing you know, somebody's finger gets cut off because they were shoving something on a saw too hard because it wasn't really cutting it, it's coming through, and they didn't want to pay for extra blades, and the blade was dull, and then it gives and their finger goes with it, you know. Or they're up on a ladder 3 or 4 times and the job didn't take that long. It wasn't supposed to take that long, but they had a drill that was all goofed up, and the drill bits are turning and the drill bits are dull, and they're fucking around with all this stuff. And somebody thinks that somebody's cheating somebody by ordering more drill bits. We see these things happen, and it's part of why I go in as a problem solver in a lot of these situations. And a lot of times my problem solving is buy more tools, buy better tools, make sure everybody's got their stuff. Or if the guys are getting a higher hourly rate, hey, you need to be buying stuff. I've seen a lot of individual workers not replace their own tools, and you got to sit down with the guy and say, listen, you want to come back on the next thing, here's your shopping list, okay? Here's what you're going to have to show up with. Because I'm noticing you're going back and forth 3 or 4 times. You've got a broken drill, you got a broken thing, you got batteries that aren't holding the charge. And when you came on this job, we paid you for this. Now you're goofing around with broken stuff and you're not replacing it. On the other hand, I may have to talk to the boss and say, listen, I think you got to pay these guys a little more. This guy's got $300 to $500 bill to service his equipment. He's not going to be able to service it. He'll get the job done, but it's going to cost hours, and it's going to cost you a few days' productivity. He may talk to the developer or think about that before talking to the developer and just not care. He's like, well, it's going to be in the production budget for the project. If these guys get done early, then they might go work for somebody else instead of coming with us on the next project. They're going to make their own decision on that, okay? But for you, if you really, really, really are pissed off that an expensive tool wore out before it paid for itself, you got to charge more money for what you're doing. that's where something's going to have to go. Anyway, that's my take on it.